An Italian reporter has stated that in 2015, a member of the United States NSA, National Security Agency, boasted that Pope Benedict XVI would be forced to resign. And of course, we know that that happened. And it's news. It's important. This has been speculation for years now. And now that Pope Benedict XVI has passed away and gone to his reward, people are starting to talk. And people are starting to reveal information. And so today, we're going to look at what that Italian reporter said. The story was broken in English by Micah Hickson over at LifeSite News. I'll be using the original Italian and also parts of her translation into English. But if you read my book, Infiltration, you'll know that the very beginning, the opening of the book, discusses Pope Benedict and his resignation and the lightning that hit. Do you remember the lightning? The day he announced his resignation, this happened. Lightning literally struck the Vatican when Pope Benedict XVI announced that he would be resigning as Pope from the Holy See. Also, in my book, Infiltration, there's a number of things that are pertinent. One is I go through the whole red binder controversy, which I will discuss today. Basically, in 2012, 3 cardinals were commissioned, and they brought 1 or 2 red binders. And on December 17th, 2012, which, by the way, is the birthday of Bergoglio, Pope Francis, these were presented to Pope Benedict XVI, and that, many believe, including myself, was the catalyst for him to resign the papacy. But this new information is stating that Pope Benedict XVI would be forced. Now, just because a member of the NSA said it would happen doesn't mean that it did happen. I want to be careful on that point. Just because a member of the NSA said Benedict would be forced to retire doesn't mean it actually happened, but it definitely puts another puzzle piece on the table. Also, in the book Infiltration, I talk about the 2 theory of the Resignationists or the Beniplenists. These are the people who hold firmly that Pope Benedict XVI was the true pope up until his death on December 31st, and that Pope Francis is an anti-pope and that he's an imposter. So there's 2 theories on that. If we have time today, I'll go through both of those theories, especially as it relates to this new bit of information that came out today. All right, so let's get started. What is the news story? I'm going to go ahead and put Pope Benedict XVI. This is his resignation moment, or him announcing the resignation moment. The new information comes from an Italian journalist who is retired. His name is Piero Laporta. He's a retired Italian brigadier general and has done Vatican Catholic journalism and has covered Pope Benedict in the past. He says, and here I'm going to be reading it because I'm using the Google Translate of the original article, but it says, and so it's a little broken up, the voice brings me back to a vast Roman circle still in business. Now, as you'll see, this Italian author, he says there's a St. Gallen mafia, but they're the minor players. The big players are what he calls the Roman circle. The Roman circle. So you've got the St. Gallen mafia, which we talk a lot about. He says there's something bigger, more vast, more sinister, and it's called the Roman circle, and it's still in business. Okay, so he mentions the vast Roman circle still in business to a prominent emissary of the U.S. government with his hands in finance, where he still is, and in Italian politics, a senior figure in the National Security Agency, the NSA, who was boasting of the resignation which His Holiness Benedict XVI of venerable memory would soon be forced to sign while the first weeks of his pontificate were passing. So he's saying, as soon as Pope Benedict was elected Pope and became Pope, there was this member of the United States NSA, National Security Agency, bragging, one day this Pope Benedict is going to be forced to sign a resignation. That's the claim. The author goes on to say he did it with ease and arrogance, from which the design leaked out even above this very powerful organization. The TV this morning also brings me back to the days of that fake pro-Jew, sure Freemason, and true Ephebophile who tormented the last months of the life of St. John Paul II, advocating the slanderous plaque at Yad Vashem to tarnish Venerable Pius XII, the same gigantic pontiff proposed by the grandparents of the custodians of Yad Vashem for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1947. This is a little bit obscure, and I'm not exactly sure who he's referring to here. In this Roman circle, our Italian author says, arm in arm with the God is dead and Jesus is fake news, panic spread when His Holiness Benedict XVI of venerable memory was elected, as in the court of the Pharaoh when the Red Sea closed again. The St. Gallen Mafia were not joking. It was a fig leaf in comparison to the Roman circle, a dome of demons, which isolated His Holiness Benedict XVI of venerable memory, leaving him alone while the assassins of the, and here's a real big word in Italian, it's not translated, I think it's the National Security Agency, it's what it looks like, the NSA, scourged the truth and then crucified it, end quote. So he's saying here there is a Roman circle, and he calls it the Dome of Demons. And that Dome of Demons came around, he says, Benedict XVI, and isolated Benedict XVI. He then goes on to say, again, this is the Google Translate of the original Italian. I can't vouch for its accuracy. What happened immediately after the wars, the assaults on Syria, Libya, Tunisia, Egypt, the Caucasus, and Russia, nerve gases, viruses, all the filth that sickened and impoverished humanity, allowing the demons to lay tables for the poor as long as they multiplied, would have been impossible if the church had been able to keep its free, authoritative, clean voice, shaken by the friendships with the Argentine colonels and then by the genuflections to the British brotherhoods around the anti-pope queen. Big language here. However, the wicked always forget an elementary and evident fact. The Red Sea closes. The good die, the wicked too. The judge is only one. End quote. That's everything. That's everything we have. I just read the whole thing to you. What is new here? Okay, the new information, if this is true, is that the United States, the NSA, was involved in the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI. What is the NSA? The NSA was founded in America in 1952. The NSA is a national-level intelligence agency under the authority of the Director of National Intelligence. The NSA is responsible for global monitoring, collection, and processing of information and data for foreign and domestic intelligence and counterintelligence purposes, specializing in a discipline known as signals intelligence. The NSA is also tasked with the protection of the United States communication networks and information systems. The NSA relies on a variety of measures to accomplish its mission, the majority of which are clandestine. The existence of the NSA was not revealed until 1975. The NSA has roughly 32,000 employees. So This secret security agency was founded in 1952. We didn't even know that it officially existed until 1975. And what do? They collect global, not just American, global intelligence and have the purpose in counterintelligence. Now, there have been rumors going on for years that somehow the Obamas were involved in the resignation of Pope Benedict. I don't know if that's true. Those have been rumors going around. If that's the case, it would make sense why Pope Benedict didn't like Obama and Biden. And this maybe fills in a hole here of why Joe Biden was uninvited or not invited to Pope Benedict XVI's funeral. I really don't know the full story on that because we're getting our information from the press secretary of Joe Biden on that topic. So far, the Vatican that I've seen has not released any information on why Joe Biden was uninvited to the funeral of Pope Benedict XVI. I don't know. So if this account is true, and I keep saying if because I don't want to assume that it is, this means that the NSA was already involved in a counterintelligence program to make sure that Benedict XVI would sign a resignation. If Benedict XVI signed a resignation under duress, it is invalid. This means that he would have remained Pope until his death, and Pope Francis was never the Pope, and everything that Pope Francis has done, his canonizations, his encyclicals, his apostolic constitutions, his motu proprios, everything he's done is null and void. Wow. If, I'm not saying yes, I'm saying if. Now, in the book, Infiltration, I discuss the resignationist position. I don't like to call it Bene Plenis, and I think a lot of the people who hold this view don't like Bene Plenis. Basically, Bene Plenis is a play off the word sede vacantis, sede meaning seat, throne, the see of Rome, sede vacantis, vacant. The seat is vacant. So people started saying, oh, these are bene vacantis, but that's not true because bene means Benedict and vacantis means vacant. We're not saying Benedict is vacant in Latin. So then people switched it all around. They said Bene Plenist. Benedict, plenist, plena, fills the sede, the see. But that's awkward and cumbersome. So a lot of them just call themselves B16ists or Benedict Sixtinists, or I call them Resignationists. They believe that the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI is invalid. And in the book Infiltration, towards the end, I give several options of how we get out of this mess. You know, do we become evangelicals? Do we become Protestants? Do we become atheists? Do we become Eastern Orthodox? Do we become sede vacantis? Do we become Resignationists? And I go through two versions of the Resignationist thesis, and I'd like to read those to you now. Oh, before I do, I jumped the gun. I want to first go over the Vatileaks controversy and the red binder controversy. All right, and this, again, is from the book Infiltration. All right. This involves Archbishop Vigano. It involves Pope Benedict XVI, the butler who got arrested and then pardoned, Paolo Gabriele, etc. So I'm going to begin in medias res here. If you want the full story, get a copy of the #1 bestseller, Infiltration. It's a great book, and it'll fill in so much for you. All right, months before the accusations had been made public, Cardinal Bertone told Archbishop Vigano that he would be transferred away from the governorate of the Vatican City. Vigano is rumored to have resisted this change in assignment. On the 19th of October, 2011, Pope Benedict reassigned Archbishop Vigano as the Apostolic Nuncio to Washington, D.C., to serve as the Pope's ambassador to the United States. Many saw this as a demotion, but it is more likely, this is me reading Infiltration, but it is more likely that Pope Benedict wanted an honest man in Washington, D.C., whom he could trust to investigate. Of particular importance was the fact, later made public, that Pope Benedict had learned of the homosexual predatory deeds of Cardinal McCarrick in Washington, D.C., and wanted Archbishop Vigano to maintain restrictions against the public ministry of Cardinal McCarrick that had been in place since 2006. As mentioned above, the Vatileaks scandal spilled out beginning in January of 2012, revealing financial corruption, international money laundering, and schemes of blackmail against homosexual clergy in the Vatican. Italian journalist Gianluigi Nuzzi published the 2 letters of Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano describing corrupt practices that cost the Holy See millions of euros. One leaked letter revealed a potential death threat against Pope Benedict XVI, wherein Cardinal Romeo of Palermo of Sicily predicted that the Pope would be dead within 12 months. In May of 2012, Gianluigi Nuzzi published a book called His Holiness, The Secret Papers of Benedict XVI, consisting of confidential letters and memos between Pope Benedict and his personal secretary. Nuzzi's book reveals a subculture of Vatican jealousy, discord, and party infighting. Nuzzi revealed details of Pope Benedict XVI's personal finances and how bribery gains a special audience with the Pope within the circle of the papal court. Vatican police arrested the Pope's personal butler, Paolo Gabrielli. And I'd like to stop here. You can read my book, Infiltration, and get this whole story. I've also done 2 videos, podcasts on the butler of Pope Benedict XVI and the scandal of the secret documents. This is all out in the public, but if you want to see my summary of it, you can go on my YouTube channel, Dr. Taylor Marshall, and you can search the words, Taylor Marshall, Pope Benedict, butler, and you'll get the full story. Here it is condensed here for you. The Pope's personal butler, Paolo Gabrielli, on the 23rd of May, 2012. So now we're in 2012, we're moving in, and this is where things really ramp up for the embarrassment of Pope Benedict XVI. You have to know the story of 2012. Remember, he resigned in 2013. All the embarrassment was dumped on his head like a bucket of sludge in 2012. After confidential letters and documents addressed to the Pope and other Vatican officials were discovered in his apartment, he was accused of being the mole that leaked copies of documents to Gianluigi Nuzzi, since the documents matched the documents that had been leaked over the previous 5 months. 1 week later, the Pope publicly acknowledged the scandal. Quote, Pope Benedict said, "The events of the recent days about the Roman Curia and my collaborators have brought sadness in my heart. I want to renew my trust in and encouragement of my closest collaborators and all those who every day, with loyalty and a spirit of sacrifice in silence, help me fulfill my ministry," end quote, Pope Benedict XVI. So Pope Benedict XVI has to go in public and say, I'm really embarrassed. This is sad. I need to be able to trust my inner circle, my collaborators. Do y'all remember this in 2012? So many of us have forgotten it. It was 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. This is the scandal, the sadness, the embarrassment for Pope Benedict XVI to get in front of a microphone and say, I need to get out of here. I'm resigning the papal office or the papal ministry. And lightning struck the Vatican that night. This is for real. This is for real. All right, back to infiltration. Again, I'm just reading straight out of my book. I don't need to recreate it. It's all documented there with footnotes and citations. At his trial, the Pope's butler, Gabrielli, pleaded guilty to stealing the Pope's documents. The butler, I know this sounds like the board game Clue. The butler was stealing the Pope's documents, and he pleaded guilty. But he claimed he had done so in order to expose and fight the corruption within the church. So the Pope's butler said, I'm guilty, I did it, but I was trying to help the church. I was exposing the corruption, the rot, or we might call it the infiltration, growing within the Holy See. On the 6th of October, 2012, we're still in 2012, people. This is where now things are going to ramp up. Stay with me. Please stay with me. You need to understand the events here. On October 6th, the butler, Paolo Gabrielli, was found guilty of theft and received a sentence of 8 years in prison, which was then commuted to 18 months along with fines. Do y'all remember this? In 2012, the Pope's butler, convicted, pled guilty, found guilty, 8 years in prison, committed to 18 months. Okay, now months prior, in the midst of the Vatileaks, the embarrassed Pope Benedict secretly commissioned 3 of his trusted cardinals to investigate the Vatileaks and report back to Pope Benedict on the financial irregularities, the rumors of blackmail, and the sexually immoral sodomite cardinals in the Vatican and in the Roman Curia. So all this stuff was going on in the public. It was in the newspapers. It was on TV. The butler is on trial. He's found guilty. All in the midst of that scandal and that embarrassment for Pope Benedict, he creates a secret mission of his own. He gets 3 cardinals and says, look, I need you guys to go out there and collect data for me. I need to know what's really going on. I trust you 3 cardinals to go and get the goods and then report back to me. This 3-man commission of cardinals consisted of Cardinal Julian Hernandez, who's Opus Dei cardinal, and Cardinal Joseph Tanco and Cardinal Salvatore De Giorgi. They go and they start asking questions, gathering data, getting info, talking to staff in the Vatican. And they begin to prepare a dossier for Pope Benedict XVI, to present it to Pope Benedict XVI. And on the 17th of December, 2012, which is the birthday of then Cardinal Bergoglio, now putative Pope Francis, they presented what is rumored to be a red dossier, a red binder. Some sources say it was 2 binders. Was it 2 binders because one was a copy of the original, or was there so much stuff because there were 2 binders? I don't know. My personal theory is they made 2 copies. There's a red binder that had all the info in it, and then an exact copy red binder that had all the info on it. Do those red binders still exist today? I don't know. 10 years later, I'm guessing the St. Gallen Mafia or the Roman Circle has deleted or destroyed or burned or shredded or all those things, the red binder. This detailed dossier, again, I'm back on infiltration. This detailed dossier, allegedly contained within 1 or 2 red binders, described Vatican hierarchs dressed in drag with lewd details about them made by Italian male prostitutes. So they went to male prostitutes, or male prostitutes came to them and said, yeah, this is one of my clients, this cardinal, this archbishop, this monsignor, these are my clients, my gay sodomite clients, and gave them lewd details. It also confirmed the rampant financial irregularities throughout the Vatican. Pope Benedict has cited December 2012 as the day on which he formally decided to resign. The contents of the red binder were just too much for the aging pontiff. Pope Benedict visited his butler, Paolo Gabrielli, and pardoned him on December 22nd, 22. That's 5 days later. So the whole trial goes through with the butler. He's found guilty. Remember, the trial completed on October 6th. He gets the binder on December 17th, and then he goes and visits the butler on December 22nd, right before Christmas. And Pope Benedict pardons the butler. The dominoes are falling here. Do you see it? Did Pope Benedict XVI now see that the Vatileaks scandal via Gabriele was a blessing in disguise? Was it all part of a coup? I don't know. But a lot of things went down in 2012. I think all of us need to circle back to 2012 and look at everything that happened to Pope Benedict XVI. People were literally, this is a fact, this is not a conspiracy theory, people were literally stealing his personal documents and correspondence and publishing them in newspapers and in books. And this correspondence was embarrassing. It had to do with everything wrong in the Vatican, the complete infiltration. Now, on January 1st, 2013, the ATM machines in Vatican City ceased working due to the Deutsche Bank closing its accounts and the Vatican Bank on December 31st, 2012. The Sistine Chapel could not process cash exchange for ticket receipts. It was broken. And then on February 11th, 2013, Pope Benedict XVI announced that he would formally resign the papacy. So that's less than 2 months after he saw the red binders, or binder. So on February 11th, this happened. He got on the mic and he said, "I will be stepping down." And then that night, lightning struck the Vatican. On the very next morning after he announced his resignation, February 12, 2013, the Swiss Aduno Group took over the operation of the Vatican cash machines, avoiding Italian and EU regulation. The timing of the Pope's announcement and the new role of Aduno cannot be coincidental, given the scandal and the intrigue from the previous months. Something happened. Something happened between December 17th, 2012, when the Pope got the red binder, and January 1st, 2013. And then on February 28th, 2013, I remember I was in Mass when it was legit, it was confirmed. Pope Benedict XVI resigned the papacy, and he flew off in a helicopter. And we sat there baffled. Benedict was the first pope to resign since Gregory XII in 1415, 598 years prior. Unlike Pope Gregory XII, this pope indicated that he would call himself Papa Emeritus, Pope Emeritus, and would continue to wear the white cassock, the red shoes, and the ring of a pope and give apostolic blessings. All right, here ends the reading from Infiltration. If you like what you're hearing and you want more info, just get a copy of the book. It's excellent, and you'll get all the footnotes. Where does that leave us? Well, as I say, these are all ifs. There are a bunch of ifs, and if you add them all up, you literally get a nuclear explosion in the Catholic Church. That nuclear explosion would be that the election of Pope Francis in 2013 was totally null and void. You see, there's two approaches to the Resignationist B16 Beni Plenist thesis. One is to say that when you read the Declaratio, the resignation letter of Pope Benedict XVI, he renounces or resigns the ministerium, the ministry of St. Peter, but he doesn't use the proper canonical term munus, M-U-N-U-S, which is Latin for an office. Does that make it invalid? None of the cardinals None of the canon lawyers thought so. That's one approach, and that's the most popular one that you'll hear. You know, you'll hear this. I've had guests on, and we've discussed that back and forth. But the other one that I actually think is the more powerful argument is to discuss whether Benedict was coerced. Was he tricked? Was he forced into resigning the papacy? There's another story of what happened, and that is in December of 2012, Archbishop Geir Gansfein, I've been talking about him this week, and others close to the Pope say, things have been really hard this year, Your Holiness. 2012, your butler has been betraying you, your cardinals have been betraying you, your Roman Curia has been betraying you, and they're going to try to blackmail you. They're going to try to set you up. They're going to try to destroy you. So here's what we want you to do, Pope Benedict XVI. Resign the papacy, and we can get Scola, the conservative. He has the votes. We can get him elected. You can continue to still be Papa Emeritus, Pope Emeritus. You can still be papal. You can be Petrine in a quiet hermit style. And then we'll get Scola to be the Pope. And you can sort of be papal in the background, but he'll be the active Pope. And that this idea was attractive to Pope Benedict. And so he moved forward. But the catch in it was they didn't have the votes for Scola. They had the votes, unfortunately, for Jorge Bergoglio. I'm just going to pull this up, the dates. Cardinal Scola. He is currently, I wanted to pull up his age. He's currently 81. He would have been 71 back then. He served as Patriarch of Venice. Been a cardinal since 2003. That's another thesis. Was he tricked? Was he coerced? Did he do it all freely and we're just stuck with what we have now? Well, the new layer added to the pile of ifs here is this Italian journalist saying the United States government, the counterintelligence secret group, the NSA, was already boasting that they were going to force the resignation, that's the words, force the resignation of Benedict long before it ever happened. And what did we see in 2012? Espionage, secret documents, public humiliation, even the butler of the Pope in on it, convicted in court, pled guilty. Something was going on, people. Something was going on. All right, I'm going to open up to questions and comments. Love to hear from you. I'm going to put up on the screen, lightning striking the Vatican. Was this a coincidence? Lightning struck it's just a coincidence. Pope Benedict said, I'm going to leave the papacy, and lightning strikes the Vatican. Was it just a coincidence, or is it a sign? Love to hear your comments. I know I put on a lot of info on you right now. That was a big infomercial there on what went down in 2012 and 2013. But it's pertinent. And maybe, I'm going to get to your comments and questions in just a moment, but maybe we'll see some cardinals in this year begin to admonish Francis. Maybe we'll see cardinals begin to tell more. What happened in 2012? Those three cardinals who were involved in fact-finding for Pope Benedict XVI, will they come forward? Will they say something? Please, we beg you, for the sake of Holy Mother of the Church. All right, what do you guys think? Was the lightning bolt a coincidence, or was it something else? And is this how the Catholic Church should be run? Espionage, butlers stealing documents, sodomy, embezzlement, money laundering. I mean, if you go and read Infiltration, the whole section before what I just read to you is all about Archbishop Vigano exposing the embezzlement and the odd numbers and the illegal accounting practices that were happening at the Vatican Bank. I mean, it just goes back and back and back. It's a complete swamp. Nawal says Satan has entered the Vatican. Well, we know even Paul VI said the smoke of Satan has entered the Vatican. David Zacchetti says, was the beginning of Satan's 100 years in Leo XIII's vision. It's a very complicated mathematical problem. You have to go back to the original versions of the Leo XIII vision, and it would take me about 15 minutes to explain. So I'm just going to point you to, once again, Infiltration. There's an entire chapter on the vision of Pope Leo XIII and his vision and the timeline of how it all goes down. So check it out. And you can also get it on Audible. If you want to listen to it instead of read it, you can do that as well. You can get Kindle and all that as well. Red Wolf says, the moment B16 was elected, high NSA officials were bragging they'd take him down, similar to what happened to Cardinal Siri when he was elected Pope in 1958. The Vatican was under nuclear threat. So this is also covered in my book, Infiltration, and that is, was there a American operation or European operation that threatened Cardinal Siri in the 1958 conclave after the death of Pius XII? I'm open to it. I'm not convinced. It's a bunch of ifs. They all seem to point in a direction, so I'm interested in that. But it's not epistemic certainty. But yes, the fact that the United States is somehow getting involved in these papal situations and elections and resignations and all that is super suspicious. All right, what do you guys think of the lightning strike? Here's one. Ariadna Cruz, I believe the lightning was not a coincidence. This is sad, and we must continue to pray the Rosary, pray for souls. I agree. I completely agree. The answer is pray the Rosary every day. Be holy. By the way, happy Epiphany. Today's the Feast of the Epiphany, the coming of the Magi, the three wise men. Their relics are in Germany, Cologne, Germany. And their names are Casper, Melchior, and Balthazar. Make sure you have your home blessed, or fathers, bless your homes with the blessed chalk and say the prayer over your home. And if you can, get some traditional Epiphany water. If you don't want to get Infiltration directly from Amazon, someone's asking, go to patreon.com/Dr. Taylor Marshall. Patreon.com/Dr. Taylor Marshall. You can get a signed copy directly from me. Maximilian M.K. Gill asked me the hard question. Dr. Taylor Marshall, do we have a valid pope right now? In your opinion? I don't know. It's not my place to say. But I do know that Pope Francis has acted in what I perceive to be a tyrannical way and has said things that are contrary to the Catholic faith and appear to me as a layman to be heretical. You've heard me say this before. That being said, I don't believe that I have the authority, the private revelation, the knowledge to declare, to pronounce on my little webcam right here that he's not the Pope. St. Robert Bellarmine, I picked up the book yesterday just to confirm it. St. Robert Bellarmine says the cardinals, the Church of Rome, the church must admonish and investigate the Pope if he is suspect of tyranny or heresy. Those are the two cases that St. Robert Bellarmine, who is really the doctor of the papacy, he is the theologian of the papacy. So until then, I stay Pope Francis. He is the putative Pope. There's no going around it. He is the one that 100% of the Roman cardinals, if you say, who's Pope? They say, that guy over there, Pope Francis. He's the Pope. Until they do something different, I cannot declare sede vacante, the seat is vacant. I can't do it. I can say, Pope Francis does not seem to be the same kind of pope or theologian or bishop like Pius X. There's a problem here. But to declare the corpse as dead, to write out a certificate of death, I can't do that. And I think as a public Catholic, I am a public Catholic, it would be very irresponsible for me to start doing that. See, I was completely honest with you. I hid nothing. That is my mind on it. All right. Looking for your questions, moving through here. John Pondy, is there an independent office of the church that can investigate these matters? No. There's no independent, perfectly objective, journalistic branch of the Vatican who's going to, they can't even audit their own bank, audit their own numbers. Everyone who audits it gets accused, imprisoned, or worse. No, there is no, the only way that the Vatican will be holy and transparent is if good men are there. How do good men get there? Good popes appointing good people. I mean, look at John Paul II. No matter how much you love John Paul II, he picked and appointed a bunch of hellions. I mean, when Benedict became Pope, he said, pray for me that I don't flee from the wolves. Where were the wolves? The wolves were in the Vatican. How'd they get there? How did the wolves get into the Vatican? JP2, John Paul II, put them there. You don't become a cardinal unless the Pope makes you a cardinal. You don't become a prefect of a dicastery or a congregation unless the Pope assigned you there. Now, you can be a Pope who's fooled and tricked. I think that happened with Pius XII. But the wolves, the contagion, the infiltration, the tares, the cockle, all that stuff merges together and collects in the walls of the Vatican City because of leadership problems, appointees. Frank Serto says, Pope Francis, 2024 president. Oh, don't give me a heart attack. I might die suddenly. Laura Anderson, JP2 brought in the wolves. I think they were there already, but yes. And if you look at the Vatican bank scandals in the 60s and the 70s, especially in 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, into the early years of John Paul II, it's sketchy. There is bad things going on there. I documented in Infiltration if you want more info. But there is definitely some, I know y'all, a lot of y'all are huge John Paul II fans, but if you go in and look at what was going on, even up until 1983, there is some sketchy stuff going on. And that happened under John Paul II. MMH says, there must be a third red book. Maybe there's another red binder out there. Anybody out there got the red binder? Send it to me. Mail it to me. Send it to my P.O. box. We want to know what's in the red binder. Let's see here. Alexis Toth, recently you mentioned the problems in orthodoxy, i.e. birth control, divorce. Could you please do an interview with Father Josiah Trenum to discuss these issues from the Orthodox view? Thanks. Yeah, I like Father Josiah Trenum. I've watched his videos. I really do like him, and that could definitely come together. Thank you for the recommendation. I think he's a man of goodwill. Kathy B., Lucifer described as lightning. No, you are correct. Jesus said he saw Satan fall like lightning. Kathy B. knows her Bible. Good job, Kathy B. By the way, if you want to read the whole Bible, if you want my Catholic Bible cheat sheet, you want to spend 2023 and read the whole Bible. This morning, I had a good time with my coffee. I'm reading Genesis, and I'm reading the Gospel of Matthew. I myself am I read through the entire Bible last year, 2022. I read Genesis all the way through the Apocalypse, and I'm doing it again this year. And I want y'all to read the whole Bible, the whole Catholic Bible, Dewey Rhames Bible, with the 7 extra books that we Catholics have. So join me. It's not too late. It's only January 6th. Go to newstthomas.com, NSTI, newstthomas.com, and you can sign up. It's not too late. We are opening up 100 new spots for students, enrollment spots, and you can enroll today. I think we've gotten up to almost 100, but they're there, and we'll leave it open for a few more, but we will cut it off. Go to newstthomas.com. We have a Bible in a Year program. We have the Bible cheat sheet, and I've made a video of every single book of the Bible where I explain the Catholic theology and significance of every book: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, all the way up to 1st and 2nd Chronicles, Tobit, Judith, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, 1st and 2nd Maccabees, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, James, Hebrew, Jude, everything. I mean, it took a lot of work. It took 2 years to prepare this curriculum, this online course, and it is a treasure to a lot of people because for the first time as Catholics, they've read the entire Bible, they've studied every book of the Bible, and they are now fluent in sacred scripture. And I give you all the main verses you need to defend the Catholic faith from the Bible. It's a great asset. It's a great program. And I would encourage anyone watching who's between the ages of 15 and 105 to sign up at NSTI, newstthomas.com. You can take all 10 courses. There's also a course on there on the Latin Mass, on the Roman Rite, how to attend the Latin Mass, how to pronounce Latin, how to respond in Latin at Mass, all of these tools. You'll love it. We have a 93% retention because people love it, and it's super affordable. Go to newstthomas.com, newstthomas.com. Back to the lightning. Yes, Jesus said he saw Satan fall like lightning. Is this a sign of Satan falling? Ilya Dovgi, what do you think on Ukraine and Putin's action concerning Ukraine? I think Putin and Zelensky are bad. I don't believe that we have to say Zelensky's good so that Putin's bad, or that Putin is good, therefore Zelensky's bad. I think Russia and Ukraine are both corrupt countries. And I think the globalists, this is all my opinion, the globalist leaders who are truly demonic, I'm talking about the Great Reset people, are using this conflict between Russia and Ukraine in order to secularize Russia. They want Ukraine to become LGBT and godless so that they can then get Poland to become LGBT and godless, and then get Hungary to be LGBT and godless, and then just wipe out all of Europe for godlessness. That's what they want. And I think it's shameful. I think you just look at all the people who are wearing their Ukrainian flags are the same people who are wearing the mask and telling you to put needles in your arm and get poked every day. And I think we Americans should stay out of it. It's a corrupt situation, and we Americans were not anointed by God to police the world. Let me just say that again. We Americans were not anointed by God to police the world, to police the globe. Got a little political there. In hoc signo, Ukraine is a money laundering operation. Globalists want a World War III to destroy America. I think that's partially true. I mean, just look what happened with the Ukraine, and then the Sam Bankman-Fried scandal, where they've got American tax money going to the Ukraine, and then the Ukraine sending money to the Bahamas through cryptocurrency, and then Sam Bankman-Fried and his employees are making donations to politicians. I mean, this whole thing is money laundering. And by the way, I show in Infiltration how long before the Ukraine, politicians and drug dealers and mafia bosses were using the Vatican bank for money laundering because it's not regulated by the EU. It's a very important thing to understand. All right, let's keep going here. By the way, thanks for everybody for joining right now. We are live. I'm streaming on Twitter, I'm streaming on Facebook, and I'm streaming on YouTube. And it looks like altogether there's about 2,700 of you. Welcome. Please, if you wouldn't right now, pause and hit the like button. All right, let's get more likes. Let's get another 300, 500 likes. So hit the like. That tells YouTube and Twitter and Facebook that you like this content. That's why you do the like. And then if you're following on any of those platforms, follow me. Hit the follow button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. That way you don't miss any more content. I will be going over Vigano's recent statements. There's just been so much news on Pope Benedict. But we will get back to what Archbishop Vigano is saying, because I think it is very important, especially when it comes to Vatican Bank, Vatican. He's an insider. He's all over this information. So make sure you do subscribe and hit the notification bell on YouTube so you don't miss any content. Have Father Charles Murr back on to talk about JP2. That's great. I'm going to write that down. I would like to have Father Murr on. He has his book, Murder in the 33rd Degree, and I loved it. It was great. I listened to the audio version, which was read by Kennedy Hall. I liked it so much, I said, hey, Kennedy Hall, will you read the audio version of Antichrist and Apocalypse? He said, yes, he did it. He did a great job. That right there, that's read by Kennedy Hall. And he just finished reading Sword and Serpent. He's reading 2 more books for me, doing the Audible. Love it. Great voice. So thanks for that recommendation. Let's see if Father Murr will come on. Martin McLaren, FTX Crypto, I know. It's shameful. Totally shameful. All right, let's get into St. Sylvester. Theory on St. Sylvester. That early pope signaled the alliance of church and state. B16 signals the breakdown of that alliance. Maloney's party won't be accepting of Bergoglio's leftism. I agree. I've been saying this all week. Pope Sylvester, St. Sylvester, was the first imperial pope. He was the one who accepted into the church Constantine, the basilicas, the Lateran Basilica. He was the one who oversaw from afar the first ecumenical council, the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. And so the fact that Benedict died on the feast of the first imperial pope kind of, to me, makes me think that Benedict's death, his pontificate and death, has something to do with the catacomb, the restrainer, the withholder. I explain all that in my most recent book, Antichrist and Apocalypse, also available in Audible. Check it out. These projects, by the way, Antichrist and Apocalypse, Infiltration, my other 8 books, there's so much information that I can't just do on a screen, on a webcam. It requires research. It requires footnotes. It requires bibliographies. So much work goes into this, and I want to give those resources to you so that you have the facts. So I write these books for you. So when you hear me say, get the book, check out the book, I'm not just trying to grift a book. I want you to get all the information. Not just, oh, I heard Taylor Marshall say that on YouTube 8 weeks ago, but, oh, here it is right here. Yes, this is when it happened. Yeah, the butler did it on this day. Here's the footnote. Here's the newspaper article. You need facts. Hashtag facts. All right, we're coming up on our hour here, so I'm going to take one more before we sign off. Here we go. Bernardo Baldessera. Why Benedict didn't call a last consistory to pack the College of Cardinals of Traditionalists before the resignation, just to be sure. Great question. Yeah, why didn't Benedict just have an emergency consistory and say, hey, I'm appointing 50 conservative, solid cardinals? I think this whole thing was so stressful and so embarrassing. They were just, like I said, they took a bucket of sludge and just kept on pouring embarrassment on top of Pope Benedict XVI, that he was just broken down. Maybe there was blackmail as well. But the whole thing from December 17th all the way up into February happened really fast. It's said that a lot of people in the Vatican were shocked when it happened. In other words, the rumors hadn't whispered down all the hallways of the Vatican yet. Good question. Thanks for the super chat. And here's one more super chat that from Polly. Thanks for the Neverland. Have you ever heard of Bohemian Grove? Yes, I have. In fact, when I was working out this morning at the gym, I was listening to Bryson Gray. Remember, I was on Bryson, and he has a line something about Bohemian Grove. Maybe we'll talk about that another day. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Again, get a copy of Antichrist and Apocalypse. That's the new book. Get Infiltration. You can get signed copies of both if you go to patreon.com/Dr. Taylor Marshall. Also, if you want to do Bible in a year and study sacred scripture from a Catholic point of view, you need to go today to newstthomas.com. Newstthomas.com. You need to sign up as a student. There's a 21-day money-back guarantee. You lose nothing. Go sign up. We have a 93% retention rate, which means if you sign up, you're going to be like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe this is all put together. All of this content. It holds you accountable. There's quizzes. There's how you're doing. There's a progress bar. I mean, there's all this technology and these great videos to help you understand every book of the Bible. Go to newstthomas.com. Don't miss out on the winter enrollment. It will be gone. So if you want it, if you want some, get some. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure you pray your rosary every day. Try to find a traditional Latin Mass. Read the Catechism, the traditional Catechism, the Roman Catechism. And until next time, we should do a prayer. We should do a prayer. I'm at a different computer right now, but I do have the prayers. I brought them over. We're going to do a Hail Mary, and we're going to do it for Pope Benedict. Oremus. Oh, it didn't come. Not working. All right, we'll just do the Hail Mary. Sorry, I can't put the words on the screen. Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et at hora mortis nostrae. Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Until next time, remember our Lord Jesus Christ is you're the light of the world and the salt of the earth. So go out there and be salty. God bless and Godspeed.